I want you to picture your daily commute for a second. You know the exact feeling I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. The absolute dread.
Right. It's that annoying start and stop traffic, or maybe it's that one driver who aggressively cuts you off without a blinker.
Or that random, slightly beat-up car just idling weirdly on a quiet side street for no apparent reason.
Exactly. And we usually just, grip the steering wheel, sigh heavily, and write it all off as random urban chaos.
Just another day of bad driving.
Yeah, just bad drivers. But what if it's not random at all? What if the traffic is actually communicating and we are just now, finally, learning how to translate the language?
I mean, it is a completely paradigm-shifting way to look at the streets.
It really is.
Because when you actually analyze the data mathematically, you realize that what we perceive as just random noise,
Yeah.
it often has a very distinct, very deliberate signal underneath it.
And that is our mission for this deep dive. Welcome in, everyone. We are unpacking a massive stack of fascinating sources today.
Really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, specifically, we're looking at a vehicle surveillance and road risk intelligence report. And this thing is based on 181 incredibly detailed vehicle logs.
Specifically from the Thiruvananthapuram region.
Right, in a really tight window, too, collected between December 2025 and March 2026. So our goal today is to take your perspective, shift it entirely away from just complaining about traffic, and help you detect the organized, coordinated behavior that is quite literally hiding in plain sight.
Hiding right next to you at a red light.
Okay, let's unpack this, because looking at this data set, it feels like realizing you aren't watching a random crowd in a town square, but rather a highly choreographed flash mob.
That is the perfect way to frame it, actually. Because to really grasp what is happening here, we need to move past the traditional view of traffic enforcement.
Right, this isn't about running stop signs.
Exactly. This is not a discussion about speeding tickets or running red lights. It is fundamentally a massive situational awareness problem.
Because of the intent behind it.
Yes. What the data shows us is a transition point where vehicular movement stops being purely about navigation.
Yeah.
Getting from point A to point B, and it starts becoming about intent.
But before we get into the coordination and that intent, I feel like we have to ground ourselves in the physical reality of the roads in this data set.
We definitely do.
We have to start with the raw physics of this traffic. Let's look at the baseline environment these drivers are actually operating in.
Well, the baseline is incredibly dense.
No.
And fast-paced.
Very fast.
Yeah, when we break down the vehicular composition from the logs, cars make up about a third of the observations. But two-wheelers, like bikes and scooters, they are ubiquitous.
Everywhere.
They comprise up to 40.8% of the vehicles in some specific logs. And they are moving aggressively.
And that's what really caught my eye, the speed.
It's wild. A staggering 48.4 to 55.2% of these flagged vehicles are classified in the data as fast-moving.
And keep in mind, they are operating in highly congested urban corridors. We're talking places like Kumarachanta or the Inchakal Service Road.
Packed air.
Right, so when you have over half the vehicles moving fast in moderate to heavy density traffic, it's like forcing high-pressure fluid through a pipe filled with obstructions.
The pressure just builds and builds.
Yeah, and the margin for error basically vanishes.
It literally vanishes. In one of the observational logs, erratic lane changes were cited in 66.7% of the behavioral responses.
Two-thirds of them. That's insane.
But the most alarming physical maneuver documented is something called airbrushing, along with this really extreme lane splitting.
Airbrushing. Just the name makes you tense up.
Right. We're talking about vehicles threading through moving traffic, leaving clearances of less than 1 inch.
Less than 1 inch.
Less than 1 inch.
Between vehicles moving at high speed. It requires intense physical skill and just a complete, utter disregard for structural safety. It's like threading a needle while riding a roller coaster.
It's exactly what it's like. And the environment gets even more volatile when you factor in the heavy commercial vehicles.
Oh, the buses.
Yes. You've got massive KSRTC buses or heavy delivery trucks doing high-speed, really aggressive cornering at signal junctions.
They just physically dominate the space.
They do. They force smaller vehicles off the line or straight onto the footpath. And this creates a specific mechanical hazard the report calls an inverted V collision zone.
Okay, break that down for me. The inverted V.
It's a crucial concept for understanding this environment. Imagine a fast-moving motorcycle and an aggressively cornering heavy truck, right?
Okay, got it.
They are converging on a single point in the road at high speed. The space between them forms an upside-down V that is rapidly collapsing.
A literal trap.
Exactly. When your clearance is already less than 1 inch, Physics dictates that a collision is guaranteed unless a violent microsecond course correction happens. It is the mechanical edge of traffic capability.
But I have to ask, if the roads are this inherently dangerous and people are driving this aggressively, isn't it just a statistical guarantee that we are simply observing individual thrill
A
seekers?
fair question.
I mean, if you have millions of people moving through an urban grid, aren't a certain percentage of them just going to drive erratically purely by chance?
What's fascinating here is that the mathematical modeling completely disproves that random maniac theory.
Really?
Completely. Completely. The researchers didn't just log these events. They ran rigorous statistical validation on the logs. Specifically, they used ANOVA and chi-square tests.
Okay.
And the p-values from those tests came out to 0.0917 and 0.1556 respectively.
Okay, wait. Let's translate that for someone who hasn't taken a statistics class recently, or maybe ever. What do those specific numbers actually tell us about these drivers?
Right, sorry. They tell us the behavior is entirely structurally consistent.
Consistent, not random.
Not random at all. The ANOVA test looks at the variance between different groups, and the chi-square looks at expected versus observed frequencies.
Okay.
If this were just a collection of random bad drivers, you would expect massive, unpredictable spikes in the data.
Like a rainy Tuesday would look totally different than a clear day.
Exactly. A rainy Tuesday or a rush hour Friday would drastically alter the frequency of these extreme maneuvers. But a p-value above 0.05 essentially means there is no statistically significant variation across the different logs, and these were collected over 4 whole months.
Wow. So the ratio of extreme maneuvers stays eerily flat no matter the external conditions.
Precisely. The proportions remain completely stable. It proves this underlying system is operating independently of normal traffic flows.
That is chilling.
Yeah, we aren't looking at isolated incidents. We are witnessing a repeatable systemic behavioral pattern.
A repeatable system built into the traffic. Okay, so since the statistics prove this isn't just random chaos, we really have to examine the timeline.
Yes, the timeline is key.
The report transitions from how these people are driving to where and when they reappear, and the data points to a very specific operational window. They call it the 15-minute pattern.
The 15-minute pattern, it's so specific.
Observers tracked vehicles behaving aggressively, right? Then they disappear into the city grid, and then they reappear after a 7 to 15-minute gap.
And that timing is not arbitrary. In one specific log, 83.3% of the pattern recognition responses noted these vehicles appearing seemingly from nowhere.
Just popping up.
Yeah, popping up in what they officially designated as target acquisition or trailing.
So why 15 minutes? I mean, what is the mechanical advantage of that specific gap? Why not 5 minutes or an hour?
It is the optimal window to trail a target through city traffic without triggering their anti-stalking awareness.
Oh, wow.
Think about it. If a vehicle stays immediately behind you for 5 miles, you notice it.
Yeah, you start looking in your rearview mirror a lot.
Right. But if they drop back, utilize parallel side streets, and then reemerge a quarter mile ahead of you or behind you 10 minutes later, your brain just dismisses them as a new part of the traffic flow.
Because the context changed. It's a camouflage technique utilizing the flow of the city itself.
Exactly. And they achieve this by altering their movement patterns. 20% of entries in one log identified something called circuitous routing.
Circuitous routing, meaning they are intentionally taking longer, non-direct looping routes.
Yes.
You know, it reminds me of how a computer network routes data packets. You don't send a highly sensitive packet down a direct fiber line if you want to avoid detection. You bounce it through different server nodes to obscure its origin and its path.
That is an excellent analogy.
These drivers are treating the city grid like a server network.
They really are, because it requires intense synchronization to pull off. The logs actually detail 2 vehicles starting from a totally stationary position, parked exactly 1 electric pole apart.
1 electric pole apart.
Yes, they wait, and then they perfectly synchronize a 10-degree turn to enter a main road at the exact same moment.
At the exact same moment.
Yeah.
And the choice to park exactly 1 electric pole apart is fascinating. It's not a random distance.
Not at all.
It provides a standardized, universally measurable line of sight across any street in the city. You don't need a radio or a cell phone if you know the visual cue is perfectly calibrated to the city's infrastructure.
That's brilliant, really.
Yeah.
And the synchronization scales up, too. The data highlights convoy formations.
Like military convoys?
Essentially, yes. They specifically noted an instance involving a Mahindra Thar, an MG Hector, and a Toyota.
Okay, 3 cars.
3 cars. The Thar and the Toyota were acting as a coordinated unit, literally functioning as a VIP escort for the Hector.
Wow.
They were purposefully obstructing witnesses and controlling the physical flow of traffic around that central vehicle to completely insulate it.
Okay, I have to push back on this a little bit just to play devil's advocate here.
Sure.
In a busy commercial zone like Mudithara or Inchakal, people loop around looking for parking all the time. The infrastructure almost forces you into circuitous routes.
That's true.
So how do we know this isn't just a guy in a Mahindra Thar circling the block because he missed his turn and the other cars are just awkwardly stuck in his wake?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it becomes clear why this isn't just poor navigation. The researchers are looking for a combination of factors.
Stacking the evidence.
Right. A lost driver looking for parking might take a circuitous route. Sure. But a lost driver does not maintain a precise one electric pole distance from another car, execute a mirrored 10-degree turn at the exact same millisecond, and then initiate a convoy blocking maneuver.
Okay, yeah, when you put it that way.
It is the stacking of these anomalies that elevates this to what the report accurately calls behavioral choreography. It is organized provocation and intent.
Behavioral choreography, that's a great term. So the vehicles are moving with purpose, but, vehicles don't coordinate themselves.
Not yet, anyway.
Right, not yet. To understand the actual intent behind these convoys and the trailing patterns, we have to look through the windshields at the occupants.
And getting a look at them is apparently quite difficult.
Yeah.
By design.
Yes, entirely by design. The logs measured the concealment tactics being used. And the numbers are wild. 18.2% of the flagged vehicles were using 0% visibility tints.
Total blackout.
Total blackout. You can't see a thing. Another 45.5% used 30% visibility.
Still very dark.
Very dark. And in the instances where observers could actually see inside the cabin, 14.3% of the occupants were actively hiding their faces or purposefully avoiding eye contact.
So you have a significant portion of these choreographed vehicles intentionally operating in the dark.
Exactly. And they aren't just moving around either. They are waiting.
Yes, the single biggest occupant red flag, and this accounted for 71.4% of the alerts, was extended idling.
Just sitting there.
Individuals sitting in stationary vehicles for long periods with no apparent reason, right in the middle of highly congested commercial areas.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because they aren't always just passively sitting in the dark. Some of them are actively gathering intelligence in plain sight.
Oh, the selfie incident.
Yes. The report detailed this unbelievable moment where two passengers on a Honda Activa staged a selfie.
A staged selfie.
They held the smartphone up for a wide-angle shot, acting exactly like tourists taking a picture of themselves. But the frame was strategically positioned.
They weren't taking a picture of themselves at all?
No. They were actually capturing a taxi, a specific security professional, and the witness's vehicle in the background.
Wow.
It is perfectly executed misdirection. It's straight out of a magician's playbook. You focus on the smiling faces making a peace sign, while the actual trick, the reconnaissance, is happening out of focus in the background of the frame.
It is a textbook, low-level intelligence gathering technique, and it represents a profound psychological shift in how the infrastructure is being used.
How so?
Well, for these individuals, the road is no longer functioning merely as a transit space. They have weaponized the urban street, they've turned it into an observation platform,
Right.
and when they need to physically exchange something, that platform becomes a controlled interaction zone.
Which brings us to the staged handovers. The logs detail a specific incident near the Lulu Mall service road, though the report notes these also happen in dark tunnel areas too.
Right, areas with low visibility or high chaos.
Exactly. So a car pulls up, a biker on an Avenger Series motorcycle is waiting for them. The car rolls down the window and hands a shoulder-worn laptop bag to the biker.
A classic handoff.
But the detail that stands out is the biker's physical reaction. They were visibly anxious, frantically checking the zippers and the pockets of the bag before both vehicles immediately sped off in completely different directions.
Let's analyze why that specific sequence plays out that way. The choice of a high-traffic service road or a dark tunnel provides immediate environmental camouflage.
Lots of distractions.
Yes, and the rapid dispersal in opposite directions. That ensures that anyone trying to trail them has to choose a single target and abandon the other.
Oh, that makes total sense. You split the pursuit.
Exactly. And the visible anxiety, the frantic zipper checking that, points entirely away from just a casual exchange between friends. It is a structured, pre-planned operation, utilizing the chaos of the city as a shield.
So what does this all mean? We have this incredibly vivid picture now. The high-speed 1-inch clearances, the mathematical consistency of the maneuvers, the 15-minute trailing gaps,
The blackout windows.
the blackout windows, the staged handovers. We know this massive problem exists. The obvious question is, how do authorities actually stop it?
That is the million-dollar question.
We have to move from identifying the choreography to analyzing the systemic blind spots of our traffic enforcement. And honestly, the most surprising data point in this entire report is that the cars aren't invisible.
They aren't invisible at all. In fact, most of the license plates recorded in the logs were highly visible.
Really?
Yeah, the researchers gave them an average clarity rating of 3.67 to 4.52 out of 5. The physical identifiers are right there for the cameras to see.
But the cameras aren't catching them. The report calls this the convergence problem. It's the intersection of traffic violations, behavioral anomalies, and coordinated intent.
A perfect storm.
A perfect storm that easily bypasses the logic of our digital surveillance.
This raises an important question about how our infrastructure actually processes data. Our current AI traffic cameras and automated license plate readers, they operate on single-frame logic gates. Single-frame logic gates, meaning what exactly? They are programmed for binary, instantaneous violations. Did the vehicle cross the induction loop faster than the speed limit? Yes or no? Did it enter the intersection after the light turned red? Yes or no?
Right, it's a snapshot.
Exactly. The camera snaps a photo, registers the violation, and immediately purges the rest of the visual data because it has absolutely no use for it.
Which means if our multi-million-dollar AI traffic network is only looking for a binary speed check, it is completely blind to a coordinated 3-car intelligence operation that happens to be driving exactly the speed limit.
Exactly. The system has no short-term memory. It cannot correlate a vehicle passing a camera at point A with that same vehicle reappearing 15 minutes later at point B.
Let alone noticing it's following someone.
Right, let alone cross-reference its proximity to a specific motorcycle 3 lanes over. The current enforcement infrastructure is simply not designed to detect spatial intent stretched over time.
So to combat this, the report suggests an urgent need to upgrade the analytical models. We essentially have to teach the AI to see the choreography.
We need to shift to multi-frame video analytics and multi-vehicle tracking. The AI needs to be able to flag an anomaly like, say, a vehicle idling for 20 minutes behind dark tents, and then maintain a thread on that vehicle to see if it mirrors the turns of another target across the city grid.
You have to analyze the combination of movements, not just the isolated speed of a single car.
Yes, we have to move from enforcing rules to analyzing behavior.
It is amazing to think about how this journey started for us today. I mean, we began by picturing the daily commute, writing off the chaos as simple road rage and bad navigation.
Just normal city life.
Yeah, but by diving into the statistical reality of these 181 vehicle logs, we've uncovered a deeply hidden layer of urban surveillance, target trailing, and highly choreographed movement playing out right on our city streets.
It's happening all around us.
It is. The next time you are stuck in traffic and you see a car idling just a little too long behind total blackout window tints, or you notice a biker perfectly mirroring a car's lane changes, you might start seeing the hidden matrix of the road.
Once you understand the mechanics of the tactics, the standardized line of sight distances, the 15-minute trailing gaps, you realize that a lot of what we casually call traffic is actually a highly complex nonverbal communication system hiding in plain sight.
And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over. Something that takes this data to its logical and honestly somewhat unsettling conclusion.
Oh boy.
Everything we've discussed today, the complex tactical driving, the blocking maneuvers, the convoy escorts, is currently being executed by human drivers.
Right. Humans behind the wheel.
They are relying on standardized visual cues, line of sight, and immense physical skill to pull off these 1-inch clearance maneuvers. But what happens when these organized groups get access to fully autonomous network self-driving cars?
Oh, wow.
Could a hacker coordinate a ghost fleet of empty self-driving vehicles to autonomously trap a target in an inverted V collision zone?
That is entirely possible.
Or execute a flawless, invisible handover while the actual perpetrators are sitting safely at a laptop miles and miles away? If the traffic is already communicating this effectively today, what is it going to say tomorrow? Something to think about the next time you look in your rearview mirror and wonder if the car behind you is really just a random driver.